What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Age of Quarantine on the St. Vitus Bar Instagram channel. My name is Chris Enriquez. I'm your host tonight, and I want to thank you all, by the way, for supporting St. Vitus through these tough times. Um, we had a really successful Black Friday sale. A lot of that merchandise is still up on the new web store. A lot of great shit. I know a lot of you guys have been putting your orders in and asking for the ladies apparel, which is also up now. So go check it out if you haven't already. Buy something for yourself. Buy something for your friends and your family. The holidays are coming up, and all really great stuff. Keeping the positive vibes alive during dark times. You might hear some music playing in the background. That is an amazing Brooklyn band called Tower. I'm sorry, a Brooklyn metal band called Tower. And that's who we have on our show tonight. So I'm going to be talking to the lead singer and a friend of mine, Sarabeth Linden. She is a force to be reckoned with. I wish that she was more out in the universe touring and doing all sorts of stuff, doing a world takeover, because she is a powerful front person with an amazing voice, as you can hear. And I'm just so stoked to see her and her band excel as the years have gone by. I remember seeing her around a lot in the scene, and it's just great to see her doing her thing. So we're gonna get her on the screen, and if you have any questions for her, feel free to use the question mark box at the bottom of the screen. I'll try to get to your questions, or leave a comment. I'll see if I can get to those. And we're gonna get her on the screen in just 1 second now. A Thursday evening with us. It's been really exciting doing this show for the past few months. Hello.
Hi,
How's it going?
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm chilling. I'm keeping the positive vibes alive every night on St. Vitus Bar. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah.
I like your background. It's just very plain and you know.
I I just moved, so nothing's up right now, so I'm just like in my white room.
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was on purpose, just to not have like distractions. I guess it's just a coincidence then.
Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. Well, as I was saying, we actually we know each other. Obviously, we're homies. So that makes it especially exciting for me to do this because I love that. Um, but yeah, it's really cool knowing you. I've seen you around the scene. We're from the same place for years, working in bars, doing stuff, and so I got really excited when you started singing in bands. And I love, all the years seeing you perform and the touring and the videos and shit. So it's cool to have you. I want to talk to you about, how you came to be, the singer in your band that you are today. But let's start with this. So, like, have you been managing to get through all this crazy shit this year?
Oh God, it's been a hell of a year, honestly. Um, I mean, it just started off like disastrous, honestly. So it's been hard, honestly. I moved 4 times. It's just,
Jesus Christ.
it's been truly a nightmare. But I'm at peace now, so that's all that matters. I was in grad school when the pandemic broke out, so for mental health counseling. So I was doing that all virtually, which was like a huge change, especially for counseling people. So that was crazy. So I took off this past semester just to see what happens with that. But yeah, so I've just been, staying sober, dude, honestly. I've been like 2 months sober at this point.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so I realized, like alcohol wasn't really doing it for me anymore and just making me depressed. And so yeah, I decided to just take a break from that. I mean, I don't know if it's lifelong, but it's actually really great. I'm really like clear-headed. and it feels good to just be like present, you know?
Absolutely. It's weird, and I'll try not to get off topic too much, but like, first of all, congratulations. I think it's really cool to use this time. It relates to what we're doing. The reason this show exists is because this is the best thing we can do when we can't go hang out at St. Vitus and go to shows and,
Right.
be creative. But it's a great time to just sort of like reflect and be like, what can I work on? So if that's what you're doing, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so last year you put out a record, Tomorrow and Yesterday. I'm looking over here because I have cheat sheets in front of me that I'm not paying attention to you. But Tomorrow and Yesterday came out in 2019. That was obviously before COVID, and you did get to go play in Germany. So what was going on there? Because it was pretty close, right? To when that went.
So close. So close. I actually bought masks, like not even knowing that the pandemic was gonna break out. Actually, if you wear a mask on an airplane, it hydrates your throat. So I bought all these masks for that purpose. So it was so crazy. It was literally right before the pandemic. Like, we didn't even get to practice after getting back from Germany. But Germany was awesome. It was like truly like a rock star moment. It's crazy how Europe is just so obsessed with metal.
Oh yeah, big time, especially in Germany.
It was so cool. Like, it honestly, like, people were like printing out these like laminated like posters that they made and like asking us to sign them. It was crazy. It was crazy. Like, people were lining up to take photos with me and Claire, our drummer, and they're like, what is happening? Like, this has never happened before. So it was so cool. It was crazy. And like, we all love to party, and we were like hanging out like in the crowd, like watching the bands, like super stoked to be there. And like, all of these fans were like, wait, weren't you just up there? Like, how are you down here? Like, why are you here? We're like, we want to see Wasp. So
Right.
which, like, of course we're here, so it was really cool. I wish the pandemic didn't happen, because we got signed to an Italian label called Cruz del Sur. And so we have an album that's due soon for them, and hopefully that will bring us back to Europe. But obviously it's, now since the pandemic and everything, we don't know when we'll be able to head back there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. Did you have other shows or tours or things that you were supposed to do?
Yeah, in May we were supposed to do, I forget, James Danzo is the one that knows everything. I'm literally forget like dates, what, like where we're going, like I don't even know. But in May we had a tour lined up, but we obviously had to cancel that. There was this fest in Chicago. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I forget it. Maybe I like wrote it down somewhere. I also have notes. Because my brain is just so,
no pressure. Yeah.
but I actually don't know. He didn't write it. James Danzo actually wrote me some notes.
You're an amazing guitar player. Yeah, just to stay on the European thing though. First of all, like, being on a European label is super cool, because, as you know from what you just said, it's the culture there is different, and I'm so glad you experienced that, because it's a culture shock for us. I think if you've ever watched, not you but everybody in general, the festivals on YouTube, or these metal festivals or whatever, it could be any aggressive music, punk, hardcore, it's packed. There's thousands of people there.
Right.
It's different over there than it is here. They have an appreciation for it, and they have money to support it. I think it's like government funded.
Oh yeah, they truly support artists there. We made so much. It was our first time in Europe, and we broke even, or I think we actually made money, which is
right.
Which is crazy. And it was just one show, so that really like gave me some hope, honestly, because it's not that New York is dead at all with music, but it's metal is just, I feel like it's not so big here anymore. It used to be big. It used to be like really awesome, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago. I feel like it's slowly changing. Like in general. So it was really refreshing to like get to see like these straight up like metal fans like out of like, you know, like heavy metal parking lot vibes. Like,
Oh, absolutely. I know you love that too. And
oh
it's like if your band was to make a living doing this, it would be from going there. A lot of bands have to go there to make a living here, which is so wild. But yeah, I think New York. I know what you're saying. Like obviously when Vitus started, that was like, oh shit, metal is really coming back. And as someone that grew up on it, it was kind of cool to see a resurgence. And you know, you see more of the fashion now than the actual, you know, people that are truly into it. But you guys embody the true essence of metal, which I think is fantastic, because you're doing classic metal. But before we get into that, let's just go into your background a little bit. Well, actually, let's talk about the EP, because that's what's out right now. You're on the Italian label. You have a single, a video, "Run for My Life." You want to talk about that a little bit? It's a pretty epic video.
So Tomorrow and Yesterday is the album. It's actually not Cruz del Sur, it's Blasphemy Records, which is our friend from Brooklyn who just put it out himself, put it out on vinyl. It is really sick. So yeah, Run for My Life. It's definitely catchy. It's a cool video. We went to this castle upstate where we've been before. But it's called Wings Castle, and it's like the only like hand built castle like up in upstate New York, and it's like honestly everything is just so cool there. It's like a museum. And Zach's friend, Zach the guitar tower, his friend actually owns it. So
Oh wow.
we were able to film there. And it was crazy. It was so much fun. It was also like really hot at times because we filmed in May. But it was really fun. It was really cool.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, they should go to your YouTube channel. You have your own YouTube channel, because it's got like a very classic, you know, if you go back, I'm old. I just turned 40 2 days ago. So I remember music videos like that on Headbangers Ball or just on MTV, and it really kind of like was a throwback in a way to that, which I thought was cool. You know, the majestic elements of everything. Let's go back. Speaking of you know, going back in the day, where are you originally from, and talk about how that sort of shaped you into who you are / as a musician as well.
Well, I'm from Long Island.
Me too.
I know. I'm from Long Island, so that's where I came from. And my mom's a music teacher, or she's now retired, but I grew up, you know, in a home that was all music, you know. At a very young age, my mom enrolled me in like everything, like dance, gymnastics, music, voice, just everything. And then I ended up, I guess from that, I'm super privileged to have a parent to, you know, involve me in so many different like creative, you know, different types of things, you know, to do activities and stuff. So I'm really privileged because of that. But through that, I was able to kind of just realize that I like voice, like I like singing. I played the piano for a bunch of years too. So yeah, through that, that's kind of how I found my voice. But it's crazy. It's like, you know, I was a 90s kid, like, you know, it's so different than kids these days, but I don't even know what I was getting at with that, but it's just like thinking about like my music taste back then. It was like what, Blink-182, like Jessica Simpson, probably.
Oh, you're going into that 90s, late 90s.
Yeah, like In Sync. You know, I'm 31, so
Yeah.
I grew up with like pop and like stuff like that. So, you know, that's, I guess, you know, I was exposed to that. That's like what I thought I wanted to do. But, you know, also my mom is heavy into classic rock. So like that was always playing. My dad was super into country. So I was like, you know, well versed in all of that. But for some reason, I decided that it'd be a really good idea to try out for American Idol Junior, which was like this, like, I guess American Idol for kids. And I got in, but then I ended up not getting chosen. And that was in middle school. And then I tried again at the Apollo Theater, which was crazy. And I just turned 16, and I guess the cutoff age was 15. So basically, meaning 15 would be you would be with the kids. So 16, I was competing against like actual like crazy singers, like amazing talent. And also, you know, I decided to choose a Mariah Carey song.
Right. Also from Long Island, yeah.
Right. No one said, you should probably not sing Mariah Carey on the Apollo Theater. But I was a kid, you know, I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to sing my song. So, so during like amateur night on the Apollo Theater, I rubbed the fucking stump. I get up there, people are already booing me, you know, without, I haven't even sang anything. And about like 30 seconds into Vision of Love by Mariah Carey, I got booed off.
Jesus, that's like so traumatizing for a teenager.
Oh, it was crazy. It was honestly crazy. It really, you know, that moment, I was like cool with it. I was like, you know, like the band was like really, you know, super supportive, and they pulled me aside and they were like, come back, you have to come back, like whatever. And so I didn't go back. But yeah, after that I was sort of like traumatized, you know.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like sing much after that. I still did like school stuff, like the Philharmonic and NYSSMA, which is a competition or whatever, vocal competition. So I did like things like that for school, but then I guess I like picked up a guitar, like I picked up the guitar and started playing around with that. And then, I don't know, my life as a 16-year-old, I was just like into emo, and, like, hardcore, and like, you know, forget Mariah Carey. I like this better.
Yeah, that's Long Island too. That's what was, yeah.
It's all Long Island. So for years, I didn't really sing. Like I wasn't like public about singing, you know, after that. But then I moved to Brooklyn. I was in school as a TV and radio like major, media major at Brooklyn College. And I met a dude at the time who you know, and he was super into metal, and so I really got into metal because of him, and you know, met so many people who were, you know, so like well versed in like, you know, metal and like rock and roll on the scene, and it was like so cool to like meet all these like really cool people. And then I guess from there I met, you know, a bunch of my really good friends, still really good friends, and we created this band. We made this band called the Psycho Hippies. Doo-wop, but punk.
Okay.
So we'd like cover the Ramones or like, you know, the Supremes and stuff like that, but we like made it punk, and it was me and my best friend.
I love that. Yeah.
And Danzo playing guitar.
Right.
So it was really fun, and then that kind of died out, and James and I decided to start a Ronnie James Dio tribute band. And that was sick.
You know, it's interesting that really quick, because you're talking about Dio and how you got into all this stuff. Like Dio, I know is a big influence on you. It's pretty obvious in your voice and all that. You're substantially younger than, you know, some of the other folks that grew up in that time. When did you get into I know you mentioned that the person you were with kind of helped you get into metal, but like you must have really got deep into it to have gone that far. Like, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, when did you hear Dio and stuff like that, and like decide like, oh, this is the shit that I am really into?
Well, besides like liking the music and stuff, it's like for me as a vocalist, I never really knew like where I fit in, like vocally. Like I was like, all right, pop is like, this weird area. I don't know if that's for me. Like, okay, emo is like this, other thing. It's like that's not for me either. Um, like R&B, like okay, like maybe, but I don't know. And then when I like really kind of got to know metal and everything, I was like, this is where like this is what I could sing. Like I can sing this.
You felt it was in your capabilities. It was natural.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Felt completely confident, with that. And I love metal, but I also love classic rock. I love doo-wop. I love all types of music, like Italian disco, like,
Oh
it's just,
yeah, yeah.
I love everything. So, it's like I'm not just a metal girl, like I perform as a metal singer, but it's more than that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the vocalists that I think you're kind of in the vein of, Rob Halford and Dio and these sorts of singers are not just, or even Paul Stanley. They're not just metal singers. I mean, coming from all over the map.
Even Ronnie James Dio, he started off as a doo-wop singer.
Right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I really like identified with that type of music and felt in it and loved it and was obsessed with it and just, like especially like being around like Jeff and James, like they're like they and butthead like in real life, like full on metalheads, like just even being around my friends are just like influences.
When did Tower start and how did that come to be?
Tower started. I'm like, when did Tower start? So in 2015, so I just got out of a relationship and, I was touring with like Mutoid Man and my boyfriend was in Mutoid Man um, and I was singing with them on tour. And, I really, after the breakup, I really just wanted to do my own thing. I just wanted to continue doing that because I really felt confident in it.
You sang on one of their songs too on the record. That was really good.
Yeah, Bleeder. It's
Great
actually
song.
the album too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But so yeah, from there it's like I felt like I just, needed to do something else. And so this dude, Oren, that I know, he asked me, he's like, hey, I have this band called Dog Food. Do you want to join? Do you want to sing as, like in this like metal band, Dog Food? I'm like, a metal band called Dog Food? All right, whatever, like let's be casual. And so I went in and I was practicing with them for a little bit and we tried to write stuff, but like me and Oren were really like butting heads, honestly. Because at the end of the day, I am a writer, I don't just write lyrics. So
yeah.
it's kind of like a composer almost. Like I wanted to have more power and or control like in how, the music was going. And we butted heads. He didn't want that. So I was like, listen, like I can't be in this band then. So I gotta go. Mm-hmm. And Zach, actually, who's still the guitar player of Tower now, who's playing in Bob as well. He was like, fuck this, I'm going with her. So then I got Zach on board and I was like, let's just like make our own bands, like fuck this. And so I hit up James and I was like, hey, do you want to play like second guitar like for me, like on this like new project that I'm starting to work on? And he was like, oh, I don't know, like I don't like if I want to really do that, like whatever. And I was like, all right, like think about it, let me know. And he gets back to me. He's like, fuck it, let's do it. And he's like, I was like, I also need a bassist. Like, do you know anyone? And he was like, actually, this dude Philippe might be like perfect. So then we got all together. The drummer was also from Dog Food.
Okay.
We started just practicing together, and then like a month later, we decided to record. Like, we wrote all these songs like really fast. We recorded like a little like mini EP, which Jeff, actually our current bassist now, recorded. So he's like always been in the band.
That's not the that's before the self-titled album.
This is before. We hadn't.
Got it.
Actually, Jeff, you know Jeff, the sound guy.
Oh yeah, Jeff. Yeah, he's still in the band, no?
He's in our band, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah. I know you've had members come and go, so I wasn't sure if something changed there.
Right. Yeah. Had a lot of members, honestly. But yeah, so yeah, we recorded like a little mini EP, and I guess we put it on tape. Now, yeah, so we put it on tape.
Wow. Okay, that's such a ballsy move, you know.
Yeah, we like made tapes, and then we like went on this tour. Like I got together like all of these people from like, actually, you know, Dirty Fences.
Yes.
Max Roseglass actually hooked me up with a bunch of contacts, and I was able to like make a full tour off of that tape.
Wow, you toured the US on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you just went for it. Damn.
We just went for it, yeah. But I'm trying to remember, so I might be telling things, you know, out of order, but I'm trying to think. So like after the tape, I don't know, maybe it was before the tape or after the tape, the End Records came to one of our shows. I think it was at Union Pool. We like played with Tournament or something. They were like, we really sign you guys.
I may have been at that show.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, and the End, of course, had a lot of eclectic bands on the roster at various points in time. I don't know if you can remember a few to mention, but I feel like they had Danzig at one point.
Yeah.
They definitely had Anvil.
Yeah. And Death Row Toll, which is cool.
yeah, it's a pretty cool situation to end in. Yeah,
they had like some cool people, but yeah, and that's when we released our first record. So
the self-titled one. What?
Right.
And you talked a little bit about the creative process. I'm assuming and correct me if I'm wrong, it's probably a lot of you and James.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it. I mean, at first it was me, James, and Zach, really. And Philippe. Like, I'm just trying to remember like how we did it. I mean, we all came up with riffs. We all came up with, you know, stuff to add. A lot of the times James and I would get together like on the side and just like jam and just kind of like write music that way, and like then we'd bring it to the band too.
Yeah.
Lately it's kind of hard to say. It's like what are we doing now? But yeah, at the time that's kind of what would be the vibe, I guess.
Yeah, you got such good players too, and we should shout out Philippe and Somnuri. It was a great, another amazing band, and you guys have a kind of incestuous thing going on there because Justin, the lead singer, played drums in the band at one point, and Phil from Somnuri, their drummer, recorded you guys. Great band. Shameless plug there, since I'm managing them. I had to do it. But let's talk about James Danzo for a second, because that guy is nasty. He is a nasty guitar player. I mean, that guy looks, and I want to talk about the aesthetic in a second too, but like he looks and plays, like the way he dresses, the way he looks on stage. He's just like, he looks like he was born to be on stage doing what he's doing. You know, nowadays we don't have these huge, you know, metal rock stars at MTV, but he looks like all those guys from back in the day. Talk about that guy for a little bit and how the creative process works, because I think he's one of the best guitar players I've ever seen, period, that I know, you know?
He's the real deal. And
Yeah.
I don't say that lightly. Like, he is truly just a rock and roll icon. Like, he's like, his whole spirit is just, his whole life is just rock and roll. He knows every fact, every date. Like, he lives and breathes rock and roll,
He's
truly.
so New York too. He's got the voice, he's got the whole thing.
Yeah, he's also just a genius at guitar. Like, he can just play anything. If you like tell him, like, sometimes, you know, even like during the creative process, like sometimes they'll be like, I'll hum him out like you know, like a solo or something, or like something like that, and he'll just like play it for me. And
Right,
it's
right.
so fast. He's so good. He's really like truly the most talented guitar player I think I've ever known.
Yeah, absolutely. I came to the first time I ever heard about him, I saw him at St. Vitus because when St. Vitus opened, and I recognized him because he was on some kind of dating reality show, and I took a double take, and I'm like, I think that's the guy that I
Oh my,
saw on this reality show, and they gave him a makeover. They were telling him that because he looks too metal or something, that he wouldn't be able to pick up girls.
oh
So
yeah.
yeah, well, you know about this. Maybe you can tell the story a little better than I can.
Yeah, he don't know how he got onto this reality TV show, but somehow we were all involved in it. Like, filmed at St. Vitus, there's like a scene where like we're just all like hanging out and like drinking, like, and he's like in, you know, the forefront, like with this like random chick. Um, on
Yeah.
and we're like in the background, like all of us, like early days St. Vitus, like what's happening? Yeah, that was so wild.
Oh my
It's
God.
like, you know, I don't know. I don't, it's typical at this point.
Yeah, no, for sure. It had to be brought up because I'm like, and I remember there was a scene at Vitus because I think George, the owner, and one of the bartenders was at some point serving him. But that's amazing. Speaking of the Brooklyn scene, like I said earlier, like I've seen you around everywhere. You've been such a big part of the Brooklyn rock community and in the bars before you're performing. Uh, that had to have benefited you in many ways, I'm sure. I mean, you kind of talked about it, but in terms of like getting a good start, getting a foundation going so that you weren't just a random person calling up places asking for help, right?
Oh, totally. I mean, also, you know, back to, you know, Brooklyn College when I was studying media, I ended up getting an internship at Sirius XM for liquid metal. So I was like their first intern, Jose Mangan's first intern
I
ever.
mean, he's the king of mainstream metal at this point. Like, he's a modern day Ricky Rackman, and if you could
Oh,
say he took it even further.
yeah. He's also the coolest, sweetest guy ever. He
He
really,
is. He is. Shout out to Jose.
shout out to Jose. But after that, you know, I met so many people through that. And I was just an intern, but I met so many people, and I actually ended up getting hired at SiriusXM as a board operator. So I was like running live shows and stuff, not for music, but for talk. But you know, everyone's like around. So yeah, I met so many people through that, and Jose was always like supporting me, and like he heard about my band, and
Yeah.
uh,
Did he
he
play on the radio too at some point?
yeah, I think still it's happened. I don't know. I don't know how it works anymore, if it's still in rotation or whatever. But
Right, right, right.
we were getting played on Liquid Metal, and it's definitely because of, you know, not saying that he doesn't like our music, but who knows? And like, but he supported me, so that was really cool.
Oh
Um,
no, absolutely. You know, and
yeah.
it's a community. At the end of the day, you know, people get a little weirded out by the idea of that whole. It's all about who you know, but it's a really a matter of like if you're a genuine person that's into the culture and you're participating in it. I think that's sort of what we're talking about, as opposed to the idea of like, you know, you know, talking the right schmooze. You know, it doesn't really work that way.
Right. I just ended up meeting people like at the very best moment, you know, in my life, especially in metal and stuff. So it's kind of like the perfect like entry to like creating this band and having the support, you know. So, and also I feel like, you know, through Mutoid Man, I met a lot of people, you know. Steve and Ben are also so fucking talented. And
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Ridiculous.
it was so cool. It was really like one of the best moments, like you know, just going on tour with them and, you know, just meeting so many people through that. And like, I guess Instagram was building and, you know, people
Yeah.
following me from that. And I was getting like seen, I guess, because I was singing with them. I was actually singing a Dio song with them throughout. I think I went on 2 tours with them. And I was singing Dio with them uh, during the
That's
tour.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then when you, yeah, and then you guys like started sort of obviously taking off on your own, you know, because you went and started your own band and started doing shows and you did the tour. Since the band started, I was at the Pentagram show, which am I wrong? That was at St. Vitus.
No. So we played with Pentagram. Oh my God. Was it our first tour? I think it was our first tour.
I might be mixing up shows then because I did see Pentagram at St. Vitus, but
You know, yeah, this is okay. Here we go. So James Danzo wrote this for me. So just because I'm so all over the place. Right. Okay. So we recorded the first album and got signed in January of 2016.
okay.
Had our first tour in March with the band RIP from Portland. They're fucking awesome. And we played South by with Pentagram during that tour.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was thinking about when Pentagram played here in New York. I'm mixing up stories here, but that's amazing that you. It's even better if you can do that outside of your own city, because as you know, the funny thing about our scene is that it really is an intimate thing, but it's also open to anyone to participate in it. But at the same point in time, you know, it's so easy to get stuck in this like sort of mentality of like I'm big in Brooklyn, and
Right.
when you leave, you're nobody, right? But if you get to open up for Pentagram, and I think you mentioned to me earlier when we were talking, Uli John Roth, who was in the Scorpions, right, at one point.
Yeah.
Those are some really notable things that are going to get you out there. What else did you get to do aside from what I'm going to bring up in a second in 2016 when you were getting started with all that stuff?
I mean, the Uli John Roth, we did, I think, like 2 or 3 shows with him in like theaters. So that was a really cool, that was in 2017. That was so cool. And we played at BB King's. And he came in, so it's just me and Philippe. And he walked into our green room. And I was like, doing in here? Like, why is he in here? And he has this guitar and he's walking in and he's just playing the guitar for me.
Wow.
And I was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? Tell me it. I'm like freaking out. I'm like, why is he in here? Like, oh my God. And you also then like after he played, we were all like still like around backstage at BB King's. And he goes up to me and he's like, you look like shit. And I was like, what? I was like, I look like shit? And he's like, you look like Cher. And I was
Oh
like,
my God.
oh, I thought you said I looked like shit. Like,
Wow.
the accent is so heavy. It's like a German heavy accent. And I was like, oh my God, I thought you said I looked like shit.
You would have fought back, I'm sure.
And that was so fucking cool. I was like, I can't believe this like legend is like talking to me right now. Oh my
I
God.
didn't know that you played there, which is interesting. And maybe you told me this, but what's cool about that is that we went and not only saw Ace Frehley, but met him there. So that's pretty, and we got a great picture with him.
That was fun. Oh my God. I still to this day, thank you for taking me. That was so cool.
Oh man, it really was. I like, it bums me out to like think about cool moments like that now because of how far away, it seems, from when we can do that again. But like to see him play in New York City and do a song like New York Groove is magical. And then go backstage and say hi. You know what I mean?
Who else is backstage? I always try to remember this actor. He's like a famous actor. He was there, and I was like,
if he was there, I don't think he told me, or I didn't know.
Oh my
no idea.
And I can't ever remember his name. But
wow. Well, yeah, that was fun. I was really excited, like I said, when you were getting your feet wet and seeing how talented you were, and I, in a weird full circle moment, had you participate in my award show when Revolver did the Revolver Music Awards, and Jose was hosting with Dave Mustaine of Megadeth.
Right.
And I had you and one of your friends I felt weird asking you, because it was such a kind of like the reason why we did this was because, you know, it was kind of like a throwback to, like, you know, the 80s style, like Wayne's World kind of experience, where it's like this guy is going to win a guitar and then these two beautiful ladies are going to come out and present it. You know, that kind of vibe. And you agreed with your friend, and it was packed. I mean, Anthrax was there.
Yeah, that was
Ace Frehley was there. Megadeth was there. Who's that?
They all played.
They all played, and there was members of Slayer in the audience, and Jose introduced you as his old intern and the lead singer from Tower.
I'm like, oh my God, that's so crazy. I was like, thank you, Jose. It was so nice. That was really
so much fun. Yeah. And then since we're talking about Dave Mustaine, we should talk about this too, because I like talking about St. Vitus experiences. Around that time I booked Megadeth at St. Vitus, and I had him down there another time where I interviewed him on stage. You had we took a picture with him too.
Yeah.
And I think he took a liking to you. This is Dave Mustaine, right? Yeah.
Okay, so we played that show, like Dave Mustaine was like bartending or something, and we played that like Revolver, like opener, like whatever, like announcement show, and he was bartending, and then so we were outside. This is like a legendary story. Outside, you were there, George I think was there, and I don't know who else, but it was Dave Mustaine and his wife, I guess.
Yes.
And he comes up to me and he's like, "You look familiar. Do I know you?" And I was like, "Yeah, probably from the internet."
You have
like,
some fucking, yeah, that's great.
Why did I say that? But, you know, who knows what's gonna come out of my mouth at this point.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to bring up, and we'll get back to the band, but you and I both were also at, it's funny because it goes back to like taking things for granted. Like you and I and everybody else, shout out to everybody watching. I see a lot of familiar friends and faces out there that are joining us that we probably shared, experiences with in many rooms. But these experiences, you don't really think about it the way that you do now. At least for me, I'm just like, wow, that happened. I did that, because that's all taken away from you. Right. But we were both at the Nirvana reunion.
Right.
And I know that I saw a lot of pictures you took there. I took a lot of pictures. What were some of your experiences from that?
That was, I keep saying like that was the best day of my life, but like I've really lived, like at this point, like looking back, like holy shit, like the cool like things that I've done, like it's so, like I'm so amazed at like the history of my life. It's fucking crazy. But
yeah, hell yeah,
that was like I feel like that was the best night ever, honestly.
By the way, it was the best night of my life. I just want to say that one of my friends got the date tattooed on his arm. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
It was like super secretive. So like it was just very small and intimate, and all of Nirvana was there. Like I was like front row at a Nirvana concert as Joan Jett is like singing like this close to me. Like
unreal.
It was so crazy, and like a lot of celebrities were there too.
Courtney Love was there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she was. And what's her name? Sonic Youth.
Kim
She
Gordon.
Gordon.
Yeah.
And like Pete and Pete, like the dude from Pete and Pete. I have like random pictures with him for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, it was wild. Everybody was there. I think the people from Portlandia were there. It was wild.
It was the craziest night ever, but dating the sound guy at the time.
Right, right.
Got VIP like all over the goddamn place. So I was downstairs with fucking Joan Jett and Dave and just like hanging out. There's this, so basically I come down the stairs and Joan Jett is like rolling a joint. And I'm just like hanging out, like I must have been wasted at the time. I don't fucking know.
Of course.
But I was hanging out and she's like, "Do you want to smoke this joint with me?" And I was like, "Holy shit."
Did you play it cool? You played it cool.
No, I was like stoked. I mean, I wasn't like out, but I was like, fuck yeah, I want to smoke this fucking joint with you. And so I think Dave Castillo, maybe my boyfriend at the time, and like these two like older guys, like also like legends who I like forget their name. But we went into the freezer of St. Vitus because so girl wife at the time was pregnant. So Joan Jett was like, let's go into this freezer. So like, I don't want to smoke near like a pregnant woman. So we huddle into this like fucking bar, like freezer, like where there's like beer everywhere and like kegs. And she lights it, she takes a hit and then passes it right to me. Like, what the fuck is my life? And I smoked that whole joint with her. And therefore I was like the highest I think I've ever been.
That is fucking amazing. And everybody is so cool too, like that we met that night, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Fucking crazy, man. I think that she's, by the way, she's not originally from Long Island, but she moved
she
to
lives
Long Island.
she lives in Long Beach. Yeah.
Right. Obviously the Runaways were in LA, but that she did move to Long Island, I think.
Yeah. She lives
right.
in,
Right.
cool. It's like I grew up a town away. It's like the
So
cool.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shared a flight with her once from LA to New York. I'm not going to get into that too much because it's not about me, but she was very nice to me, took a picture, and every time I went to the restroom and would go back to my seat, I would pass by her and she winked at me once, but I could see her leather jacket and her hair the entire flight, and I couldn't stop looking at it. I'm just like, it was too iconic. I'm like, she's sitting right there. Oh man,
Really is the coolest. Like, yeah.
well, let's go back to the that's important stuff too. But so your band, I've described as like, it's like classic metal, it's hard rock, it's kind of power metal, and lyrically in the various sort of subgenres of the classic type of metal, you got guys singing, not guys, I'm sorry, it's horrible. You have people singing about partying, or it could be like fucking Satan or Dungeons and Dragons and shit like that. Like, where are you coming from lyrically? What's your vibe?
Well, a lot of my music, honestly, or a lot of my lyrics rather, they really come from, I guess I've been writing poetry for a really long time. Not that it's good or anything, but I feel like a lot of both of our albums now, like a lot of it, those lyrics are mainly from breakups. Honestly, it's like very real, like shit like that. So it's not quite Dungeons and Dragons, honestly, if you really like listen, you know. But yeah, a lot of it's about like love and like grieving and like gaining your power again, and or running away, or you know, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, it's just real stuff. And a lot of it comes from that, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, that's that. Thanks for being honest about that. It's something I think that resonates with a lot of some of the best music out there. Is, you know, I can relate to that. You know, songs that come from a deeper or dark place, but also I think the fact that like music is there to sort of like take you into a place where you can kind of use it as a therapy, right?
Right.
But you keep the music itself, like the music that you write with your band and James's guitar parts, is for the most part something that you could put on at a bar with your friends while you're fucking taking shots. You know what I mean?
I mean, we have this song called Party.
Okay.
Not about love, obviously. It's about partying, which I've done a lot in my days. Well, I don't even remember, like, it just started off maybe like as a joke, and then like it kind of like got into like a real, started, I guess it started to create like, I don't know. We just decided to roll with it. It's called Ready to Roll. We just started to like
I love it.
do it, So
Yeah.
it's not really quite about love. It's just about partying. And the
Talk about like a little bit too. Like we didn't get into the. We have 10 minutes left. I knew this was gonna fly by.
Yeah.
The aesthetics of the band. Growing up in the 90s. Well, growing up for me in the 80s and 90s, the 80s was all about sort of like outfits and wild shit. And I know you love that stuff. I know you like a lot, not just 80s metal, but the deep cuts. You like Wasp. You like, not just the sort of like obvious ones, Rat and Slaughter and all that stuff. All great shit, by the way.
Yeah.
And then in the 90s, people started performing in more like street clothes. Like you could look like a gas station or fucking some guy off the street. Your band definitely embody more of that like 70s and maybe a little bit of the 80s thing. Can you want to talk about like what goes into that? Because I'm sure you probably talk about it with each other.
I mean, I think it's very natural, actually. It's not like we're like, we have to like dress a certain way. It's kind of just how we dress. But I love to perform, and I love costumes, and I did theater as a kid. Like I've always been like super dramatic and like theatrical. And so, like I would pull from like Stevie Nicks or like Judas Priest or like, like even, Kiss or like, I don't know, ABBA, like, like Beach Boys, like just all of that stuff is just my essence. So
A little Ozzy too, like old school.
Ozzy, right.
Yeah.
And I started to like wear more fringe and more stuff that like would make me sort of look like a bird on stage almost.
Right. I love that.
And as like we, continued as a band, and I just kind of changed it up like every single time, which now I feel like that look is just super played out. I feel like a lot of people are just, pulling from that era, and it's just kind of, you can even like look at Miley Cyrus right now, who's like wearing like a studded jacket and like thinking that she's like punk or something, it's
no, it's wild.
Right. But, not that I don't love that so much, and I still wear all this stuff. I mean, I'm like, I just love dressing up. I've always loved dressing up, but I feel like this time around, maybe 2021, if we are able to, like really perform again, I really hope to like do something different. Like I'm really excited to like.
I love that. I mean,
Yeah.
the best example of that to me, I think, is like in terms of like transformation and progression, is David Bowie.
Right. I love Bowie. I love, I went to the Bowie exhibit, and I was so inspired by that. Like the platforms with the like crazy printed, like just like landscapes like on like one boot, it's like that's so fucking cool. It's like he is the coolest, like Freddie Mercury, like dressing as
completely
a woman, like stuff like that. I just love that. I love that. I want to do something weird.
Yeah. That's very cool. Do you guys before I ask you this final question, because I'm actually always interested in fashion and music and how they sort of like coerce for generations or eras or just a band stuff. Do you guys talk to each other about the evolution of that? Like, what are you wearing, or what are you wearing? This is what I'm doing, so maybe you should do that, or is that not really a conversation that happens?
I mean, we don't really, maybe like Claire and I, like Claire drums in our band because she's, you know, the other chick. Um, Maybe for like a photo shoot, we're like, all right, I'm wearing this color. Like, don't wear that vest, Zach.
Right.
I don't know if he's listening, but there's this one vest that I'm like, don't wear the vest. Um, but you know, it's like all very natural. Like in terms of like my like costume, because essentially it's a costume. I'm not like even right now, like this is I like I'd love to just throw on like some, you know, sweatpants and like
Sure.
like from Crocs are like very close by right now.
You
But
could get some St. Vitus sweatpants, just saying, over at the St. Vitus store.
right. Yeah, like everyone just like kind of brought their own essence, you know? It's like no one's like, I'm gonna be metal, so like let me be metal, you know? It's just kind of like, all right, like I'm wearing this costume, like I love this like look, like I'm gonna do that. Like no one's saying no, you know?
Sure, sure. Well, before we wrap it up, like, what are your guys, if any, plans? You know, have you thought about anything like maybe we won't get to play shows, maybe touring's not happening? What should we do in the meantime? People are doing these live streams, or they're just putting out music anyway, or music videos. What's the deal with Tower right now?
Well, we're supposed to be releasing a song soon via tape, I think. I think this is the guy. Let me just make sure. But it's supposed to come out soonish. I'm not sure of the exact time, but we do have a record due in June for Crucial Sir, which would mean that it would probably be released in October of 2021. Um, so that's what we really have on the horizon right now. In terms of like practicing and stuff, like it's just not safe. You know, we've tried it, we've tried to do it. Zach has a baby. It's just like,
Oh yeah.
it's just like not that safe. So we're not really doing that right now. Unfortunately, we had to cap it. So, um, yeah, but we're still like, we have like pretty all of the songs like ready to go.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we just need to like get in there and like practice them and like work them out, I guess. So that will be fun when we can. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah,
That's a good time for anybody to, like, you know, people that have riffs or shit like that, to just sort of sit with them. And I know it's like a lot of people I know are doing that and sending each other material back and forth. So that's cool. Well, this is awesome. I'm so glad we got to do this.
yeah,
Yeah. And if anybody watching, if you missed any part of it, it's just going to be living on the St. Vitus Instagram for anybody to watch at any point in time, along with all the other episodes. And it'll be on my YouTube channel. Shameless plug. Just look up Chris Enriquez on YouTube. But
yeah.
yeah, thank you, Sarah. Anything else you want to mention? Any shout outs or things you want to tell people before we go?
Just, you know, honestly be safe right now because it's just totally a nightmare out there. So many people have died. It's like just remember that because when I know it's hard, I know everyone's at home, I know like everyone just wants to like, you know, just hang out, but it's like people died from this and it's really important to just stay at home when you can, like unless it's like an emergency or you have to work or whatever. It's like you shouldn't be seeing people right now. It's just you gotta like keep it tight knit right now because it's just like thank you for Biden winning. I say that. The shout out to Biden because
Yes. Yeah.
thank God. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Ooh.
Absolutely. Everybody, please be safe so that we can
Oh,
get back to shit, you know? Your
yes.
screen is frozen
And
a
see
little
you
bit.
guys soon. Very soon.
All right. Peace out, Sarah. Thank you so
Oh
much.
yeah. Bye.
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 Talk to you
See ya.
soon. I miss you too.
Bye.
Later. All right. Thanks, everybody. That was awesome. Stay safe out there. We'll be back tomorrow.